So, they released more changes to the lovely TOA blog. So, we're going to be looking at that today. I hadn't taken a deep look. Some of the stuff was spoiled to me on Discord before I even had like a chance to fully look at it because I had classes earlier today. But, yeah, here right now. So, of course we have the nice little logo or kind of theme to go on with in regards to teams of Amascut. I really like this. But, we're not here to spend too much time looking at the nice and fancy stuff. Alright, so requirements. As we all know, beneath cursed sands, so that doesn't mean you need these stats. So you need to make sure you have those quests. They've also previewed how all the bosses look, as well as having a little bit of lore snippets as to how they are where they are today. We've got Akka. This guy fucking looks like a fucking beast. Our homie Baba. Caffrey, who's a fucking bug on a shitball. And Zebek, who's like the father of Madada, pretty much. Oh, not actually, but that's what I'm calling him. Now, we've also got a preview how the whole invocation system is going to be going. Looking good. Well, thank you, Mr. Effect. So this is the invocation system. I keep forgetting, like, every time I hit this, it, like, just click to expand, but it's already expanded. Anyway, when you first enter Tombs of Amascut, you'll get the choice to start out with no invocations, a little thing we call entry mode, or with a set menu of invocations that should result in a challenging and engaging first-time experience. You'll also be able to view the invocations tab when making or joining a raiding party. You'll see a big list of all the invocations, and the party leader will be able to select as many, or as few, as they like for that particular run. Each invocation you activate will add a certain amount to your raid level. With no invocations, your raid level will be 0. The tougher the invocation, the more raid level it will add. In other words, your raid level shows at a glance how difficult the raid will be, and higher risk equals higher reward. And then this is the panel that shows like the invocations and the reward potential. It also shows like the rewards on the side right here.
There's like thresholds in the potential bar.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be going over those thresholds because it notes it right here, right? So it talks about like the quote-unquote raid levels. 0 to 149 is entry mode. So this is gonna be the best way to learn. 150 to 299 is going to be the normal raiding experience. So players who've got like previous raiding experience and want to enjoy a bit of a challenge, they can work their way up to expert mode, which is anything above 300. So expert mode is for the best of the best. 300 raid level is all it takes to get there, but you can gain up to 580 levels so far. That means that they might be adding more invocations in the future, which would be nice to see. I guess that's the nice thing about the invocation system is that they can always add more and more to it, so there's never no reason to just stop where they are now. But the other thing, as the raid level increases, enemies inside the tombs will hit harder and last longer. On the other hand, completing raids with a higher raid level will improve your rewards. Not to mention your bragging rights. So you get to eco people. Woo! Don't actually eco people. Anyway, so here's a quick breakdown of how raid level will impact your spoils while you're busy tomb raiding. All of the untradeable rewards, the Thread of Illidinus, and the Curious Partisan Jewels can be obtained at any raid level. So it doesn't matter if you're doing entry mode or the hardest shit, you'll be able to get those rewards. So, as you work your way up to the ranks and surpass 50 raid level, you'll be in the within a reasonable shot at earning the Lightbearer and Osmond's Fang if you see a unique. So that means at 50, that's when you'll start seeing those two rewards. They did make the mention of if it's not highlighted, you still have a chance of getting those items. It's just the odds of actually getting them are in the absolute fucking bin. It's super fucking rare. So at a normal raid, you have a chance of getting any piece of Missouri, the Ward, or even the Shadow if you see a unique. But, you know, as you go higher and higher, you'll have better odds. So, and then I mentioned to what I said earlier, anything not highlighted, you have a chance, just super rare. The chance of getting a unique and the quantity of normal you receive is also boosted at a higher raid level. So, yeah, I'm not sure if it is worth it just yet. Like, in terms of, if you actually go maximum, compared to like going like 300, compared to like going to like normal mode, right? We'd have to actually do the raid, but I'm hoping that Jagex actually did a good job with, you know, the time investment, where it is much more worth it doing the harder shit compared to doing like just grinding the lower level stuff. Glad I didn't see anything about it capping reward potential on a certain raid level. Yeah, I think it's good that they're still giving people the shot at lower levels, but making it super rare at entry level.
Yeah.
Because that's the same approach they did with Tob. The only thing with Tob is that there was no chance of a unique at all. But it incentivizes people to, you know, actually go into the content and then try to learn it, and then like keep pushing more and more. How are we doing, Lingley? Holy shit, it has been a hot fucking minute, Ling. How we been, man? And then, of course, we've got the rewards. Oh. Bro, I keep fucking unexpanding shit. What am I doing? So we have our Missouri. I don't have to talk too much about it, but we got the Missouri.
You need some change, right? Yeah.
The only thing that changes is how it looks.
Yeah, but whatever.
Then we have the Shadow, which is going to be the Tebow of the raid. The Ward. We all know and love the Ward. Kinda sucks that the fucking new mage weapon is two-handed. So, what I'm thinking the Wards end up going to be is kind of like, you know how we have the Blade of Sailor to kind of bridge the gap between like, what do you call it? Scythe, Whip. That's literally what this is going to be. It's just going to be a way to bridge the gap between like just your basic trident and then the big Shadow of Timican, if that makes sense. So this is like the one item you'd buy until you can actually afford a Shadow. Which I guess is good, but at the same time it's like, it sucks because now it's like, you probably won't see much endgame use for this, maybe outside of Barrage. But we'll see, maybe Barrage will have a big time use in a new raid. It kind of makes sense that the mage weapon is two-handed though. I mean, yeah, I know, it just sucks that they're introducing an improvement to the arcade and then they're like, oh look, by the way, we have this new two-handed mage weapon, so you
have this fucking bazooka mage weapon.
Yeah, bazooka mage weapon. And then we also have the Fang, which... So the thing about the Fang that kind of makes me sad is apparently with the change to it, the DPS compared to Z-Spear on Corp is actually lower. So the only use that I can think of right now is it's going to be a pokey stick for next, and that's it. I think they said they wanted to make it useful for the new raid, but again, I don't know. Just like off of what I know right now, it's literally just a pokey stick for next. That's it.
I think it's best installed for all God Wars, melee-wise, right?
That wouldn't surprise me, I guess, but...
Yeah, it's like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a common weapon, so it would not actually be bad that the fact this is going to be a decent weapon to use at God Wars, if that's the case. But, I mean, outside of that, it's just niche. You know, God Wars. Be magical now. Yeah, I mean, everyone's just gonna... If you have your hands on the fucking Shadow, you're obviously going to be using that, right? Maybe not an arm unless you're doing some boosting methods. But, still, it's nice to always have that kind of, like, weapon that is kind of accessible. So. And then, of course, we have the Light Bearer, which just doubles your spec regen. And then the Fred, which upgrades your pouch. And then they also mention the Kira's Partisan Jewels. So they go a bit more into it with each jewel. So we have the Eye of a Corruptor. So using this jewel grants the Kira's Partisan a special attack, Wrath of Amascut, which costs 75%. It has 100% increased accuracy and 25% increased damage. Any enemy hit by Wrath of Amascut will receive 25% increased damage for the next 6 seconds, 10 cycles. And the Kira's Partisan attack speed will be halved when using Wrath of Amascut. In other words, you'll have to wait 8 cycles after using the special attack to be able to start attacking again. So, from what I think, this weapon is just going to be kind of a... What's the word? It's going to be a debuff. And you're probably going to have to rely on your teammates to do most of the damage for you because, again, you're going to be on a pretty big cooldown. So, yeah. I don't think everyone's going to run this, but it might be worth having like 1 or 2 people running this. And I think that's nice, having kind of those team roles, if that makes sense. Can you wipe in this raid? I think you can. They were talking about death rates in the raid on Twitter, NJ. So I think you can wipe.
Good.
It's a cool spec time. Everybody specs with it. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I was speaking to one of my friends and they were saying they might think one of the bosses has something to go along with like a kind of shield mechanic, and then once you break down the shield, you can actually do damage to it. But it's like for a small amount of time. That was just from them looking at the concept arts. So if that ends up being the case, that spec right there might be really good to use for it. Now,
you want to have like at least 4 people for that to be worth it, I think.
Yeah.
Or 3 or 4. Yeah.
We'll see. So then we have Jewel of the Sun. Using this jewel grants the Kera's partisan a passive ability to drain life from defeated enemies at the cost of prayer points. So that's a passive. If a killing blow is dealt to a creature within Tombs of Amascut with a Kera's partisan supporting a Jewel of the Sun, you lose 5 prayer points but gain 12 hit points. And this effect can overheal up to 20% over the player's hit points level, which I find interesting. So I'm wondering if that's just going to be like one of the weapons you just main hand for just killing a lot of stuff. But I'm not sure. And then the Jewel of the Sun gives the Kera's partisan 25% accuracy against creatures with less than 25% health. So you have more accuracy against low HP targets. So it's like, maybe I guess it'll be a weapon used to finish NPCs off. Additionally, the Jewel grants a special attack, Cupid's Light. Cupid's Light costs 75% of the player's special attack energy and 50 prayer points in order to fully heal and overheal the player up to 20% above their hit points level. This special attack also cures all poison, restores any drained stats, and fully restores run energy. So it's like a buffed up version of the Excalibur for anyone that played pre-EOC. Pretty nasty. Pretty nasty. It's only for the person that uses it though, right? Yeah, so just only for the person using it. And then last but not least, we have Breach of a Scarab, which increases the accuracy against Calphites, Scarabs, and Beetles. And this is the only jewel that can be used outside of a raid. So the other two are raid exclusive. And this is the only one they can actually use outside of it, which is just going to further buff it against KQ. So, what's your thoughts on it so far, Tor?
I'm just thinking about like how I want to use it in a raid, but I'm really interested.
I think
the first one you definitely like want to have many people before using it. It sounds like whenever you need to DPS raid something, you want to use it and then nuke the thing or something, whatever.
Yeah.
The second one I don't know yet.
Unless they have some sort of tank roll, maybe, then it might be worth using it. But then again, I'm thinking people are just going to be camping the spec ring for the raid and maybe for a lot of instances outside of Tombs. But I don't know. I feel like Tombs might be a very spec reliant raid, if that makes sense. And having those two different specs, like one that's more like kind of a, I don't want to say support role because you're not really supporting, you're more just like helping yourself. But the other one is more like a debuff role, which I think is really nice because, I mean, we all would use spec for Hob, Chambers. The only difference would be like the spec weapons you use, right? But now we have like more of an ideal debuff role based on what we have. So I think that does spice things up a bit. Also, that concept of having things that kind of you can only use in the raid, like for example overloads and chambers, is kind of nice because it really lets you mess around with the challenge of certain things. Because now it's like, oh, you don't have to worry about bringing like X amount of pots, and you don't have to worry about like brewing down stuff like that. It can create more of a unique experience, if that makes sense, and maybe even buff up the challenge if you're able to use gear that has like its own sort of buff, or there's stuff in the raid that helps you survive or buff you, etc. So
I definitely feel like support and tank roll vibes from both specials.
Yeah. And then that's it in that regard. Let me go over the competition. But I don't really think there's too much for me to say in regards to the armor and the other things because I've already spoken about it in a previous video. The main thing I will touch up on once more is the reward potential. So Toy, what's your thoughts on that?
I like it. I'm not sure about like allowing purples in entry mode. Unless they're like really, really rare.
That's what they were saying. It's gonna be incredibly rare. If it's grayed out, you have a chance, but it's super rare.
Like I'm talking pad rate for court, rare, like really rare.
I'm not sure if that's how far they're gonna go, but it wouldn't surprise me if they went that far. So, I guess we'll have.
Also,
to
it
see.
seems that the threat and the jewels are gonna be like really common.
You don't know why they did it? Which I mean. Oh, sorry, I was just reading chat.
I was like, oh.
I mean, you could make the comparison and say entry-level Todd doesn't have it where you have a chance of getting rewards. So they should have just straight up cut it out for this too. But, I mean, I'm not completely against it per se. Just as long as it's just super, super rare. Because at the end of the day, the whole system is to encourage you to learn and push yourself by adding more and more invocations until you reach the max. If it's even going to be possible. I'm not even sure if 580 is going to be, like, feasible to do. But only one way to find out. We need to actually pop the content on day of release and see how that goes. Maybe
yeah, I think it's more inviting if you have, like, a chance over purple. But it seemed like be really not worth it to do entry mode for money.
I'm thinking that maybe 580 won't be doable until you have, like, the appropriate equipment for it. So when you actually do have your hands on all the new raid stuff, then maybe it'll be encouraging to actually do it. So that is nice. And also they can add more invocations in the future too, when even more stuff comes out to make this raid easier. Which is, I think, a good thing.